Great Podcast. Join us in this very special and exciting episode as we sit down with one of the most decorated Gunpla builder, the 11th GBWC World Finals champion, Mr. Simon Lam. But before all that, allow us to welcome you to another episode of the Perfect Grade Podcast, your favorite weekly show where we talk about the latest new series, movies, games, model, kit releases, basically everything and everything Gundam under the sun. This podcast would be possible without our partners Hobbylink Japan and Vivian Blue, your go-to online stores for Gunpla figures and anime goods straight from Japan. Enter our coupon code PGS Studios on Vivian Blue. That's PG Studios, capital PGS Studios on Vivian Blue. Check them out by clicking on our affiliate links found in the description below. And a special announcement, Perfect Grade Studios is now sponsored by Armored Komodo. Armored Komodo is working with us, Perfect Grade Studios and Gunpla Photography, to help bring you plenty of Gunpla content from here on forth. Proudly made in the Philippines and trusted by builders around the world, Armored Komodo is the go-to paint brand for scale modelers who want pro-level results. Whether you're brushing, airbrushing, or weathering, Armored Komodo delivers unbeatable coverage, rich colors, and smooth finishes. The best paint in the Philippines is now supporting builders everywhere around the globe. Grab yours from select hobby shops or online stores today. I am one of your hosts, Raynan, and alongside me are my co-hosts, the Gunpla modeler, the animator, the perfect grade rockstar, the Unipla, Miguel, voice as smooth as butter, our head researcher, the Plamo Apprentice, Justin, and the creator of one of the most active Gunpla communities, Gunpla Photography, the Gunpla photographer himself, the Daddy GB, and along with him is the newest member of the Perfect Grade family, our resident artist, Ralph. And for today's special guest, 2017 GBWC Canada champion and back-to-back 2022-2023 GBWC Canada champion, Best of the Show award in Sword and Brush, multiple awards from competitions like Heritage Con, Torcan, and Anime North, the 11th GBWC champion of the world, Simon Lam. Welcome to the show.
Simon.
Woo!
Simon.
Simon.
Wow, that was an introduction.
I have to get
Gets
out
you all the
my
time.
my Bruce Buffer, impression right there.
That's cool.
It's like
That's awesome.
introducing a boxing champion right there, man. Again, welcome to the show, Simon. Thank you for taking your time
My pleasure.
to spend it with us. So how's everyone? Everything's good?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you planning to join this year's GBWC?
This year might be a little bit pushing it because I just decided which kit I'm going to use for my next project, and it hasn't shown up yet. So obviously, it's going to be one of my bucket lists, which is the Cycle 2.
Mm.
So I'm probably going to spend a year, maybe a year or two before it's actually done. So I'm not sure if I'm actually can finish it on time for this year, but next year for sure.
Mm. Yeah, we're looking forward.
One
to
build
that.
takes a year?
One build takes a year. My last build took 4 years.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
By the way, before
I
we
saw that.
continue, happy birthday to Ayo Mecha. Mr. Ariel Abdinaya. It was his birthday. When was that, GB? I think
3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago.
3 days ago.
Happy birthday,
3 days
Ariel.
ago.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
That's
Oh,
okay.
man.
The fish is overrated.
Oh, you were there. How was his birthday?
Oh no, I wasn't there.
Oh, I
we
thought
just
you were
said happy birthday to him just now. So yeah, yeah, because we're on the same chat group. So we talk nonstop basically.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, man, the Canadians, man, they're invading, they're leading the Gunpla community.
Yeah, yeah. We have it's fortunate we do have a very tight community over here.
Yeah. Side 6 is shout out Side 6, shout out AO Mecha.
Light 6?
But before we
Side
continue, Justin, are you ready?
Wait, I thought you were gonna ask how our week was.
Oh yeah, you want to go there? Okay, how was your week, Justin?
No, it was been pretty hot in the Philippines.
It's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's
It's
true.
like strangling high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How's the weather there, by the way?
We got so
Over here right now, I think it's -4. It snowed a little this morning, which is actually unusual. Like at in April, we should be full on into spring by now. Yeah, so it's kind of odd.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think we actually have a record low week ever and recorded in April this week.
Wow.
Can we go there? It's really hot here.
Can we have some of that
Yeah,
cold?
Can you manage the cold weather when it goes into
Probably not.
-40?
Oh my god, no. I don't
Anything
think so.
but this.
It was 6 degrees when I was in Japan. I couldn't. I couldn't handle it.
Well, the good thing
Alternative.
is that you're stuck at home, then you got nothing else to do but building your gunpla, right? So
Yeah. How about you guys, GP, Miguel? How was your week?
I know, same old.
Same old, same old.
Same old.
Nothing new.
Busy. Ooh. Yeah, nothing new. Painted this
Last week.
Uh huh.
Oh. Sorry.
Okay, what
Go
was
on,
that,
Miguel.
Justin?
Go ahead.
Justin.
Oh no. In my case, I just started practicing building again. GB was kind enough to lend me one of his kits.
Oh, nice. Do you have it with you?
Oh, that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. The guy was about to bend over. So, GB, can you help me with this? I don't know exactly.
It's the cold district type HG.
Ah, yes.
Oh.
It's cold
It-
in this very hot weather, so I'm very grateful.
All right. How about you, GP? Nothing new?
I just took a nap.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of something new, Justin, are you finally ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Because today it is now time for our first segment of the show. This week's breaking news. Give me that oof. There you go. So, our very first news of this week from Bandai Namco's website. Bandai Namco will exhibit a pavilion at the Expo 2025 Osaka, Kansai, Japan from April 13th to October 13th. The pavilion will provide new immersive videos and demonstrations within the pavilion space along with a life-size Gundam statue. Visit Bandai Namco's website for more details. All right. So, our next news from Bandai Namco Entertainment's YouTube channel. The Gundam Metaverse Project 4th limited time opening trailer has been unveiled. Enjoy a digital exhibition in the metaverse featuring winning works from the GBGW Gunpla Builders World Cup. Also making its return is the Hatsune Miku Collaboration Live. This free event can be accessed easily from your computer, smartphone, and or tablet. Opening will begin on April 20th. Check out Bandai's YouTube channel for more details. All right. Also, in case you missed it, the Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quack series premiered on April 8th. If you're a fan, or if you missed the beginning on cinemas, you can start watching it on Amazon Prime. Now, besides that, we've got some gaming news here from Gundam Info, NA's Twitter page. A gameplay trailer for the upcoming Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Destiny Remastered has been released, arriving on April 22nd for the Nintendo Switch and PC. Oh, look at that. So, also coming on, also from Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2's website and Twitter, or X, the Heavy Gun has arrived in the supply drop on PlayStation. The first compact mobile suit mass-produced by the Federation Forces is now available in the supply drop. Take a look at that. All right. And now, from GundamKidsCollections.com, concept art for the upcoming Xeon Type MA. This concept art was revealed, giving fans a first look at the powerful Xeon Type MA set to appear in the upcoming promotional video Gundam Next Universal Century. The short film is being screened at the Gundam Pavilion as part of a special event. Finally, from GundamKidsCollection.com, we've got a bunch of newly released kits. Bandai Spirits commemorates the grand opening of the Gundam Next Future Pavilion in April 2025 with the launch of the entry-grade RX-78F00E Gundam with its accessories, the glass feather equipment. currently priced at 1,320 yen and 1,100 yen, respectively, each sold separately. All right. Also, we've got the Polizaku from Mobile Suit Gundam G Quux, which is now available as a high-grade Gunpla model. This will be priced at 2,200 yen. And we also got some P Bandai kits. The HG Rebin Wolf AOZ reboot version to be released this May with a second batch on July 2025, priced at 3,520 yen. And the long-awaited HG 1144 Genoese O Customs joins the Gunpla lineup after 13 years to be released this July 2025 for 1,980 yen. Whew. And that's all for this week's breaking news.
All right,
Team,
that's a lot
what's
of
your
news.
Whoa.
Thank you, Justin, for that.
I'm out of breath.
All right, team. Do you have anything in particular that caught your attention? Because that was long.
New age
Yeah, I've
kit.
seen customs of the Rebel Wolf.
Oh, the
New
Rebel
age
Wolf.
kit. New age kit. New Gundam age kit.
Oh yeah,
I'm done.
Miguel is really into age.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
But
yeah.
that News Young though looks insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes like
Crazy.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, look at those high fives.
It's just a.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's just
So
a
good.
concept art, right? To be shown. There's a promotional video that's going to be shown in Gundam Expo, and that's going to be used there.
Yeah.
And for this one, this is actually similar to the non-graded 78F00 from
Yokohama.
Yokohama. Yeah, but this one's an entry grade version. It's not as
Wow.
what do you call it? The articulation is not as good, I heard, and that the
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, and unfortunately for
Sucks.
this one, for the entry grade, this is all sticker. So yeah, I would.
What?
Yeah, for the
Those
entry
are
grade
stickers?
version. Yeah, unfortunately,
Boo.
they have a version for the one that we have, like for the Yokohama 144 non-graded one, and it's actually separated, like part separated. But this one for the entry grade, it's all stickers. Kind of sad.
It's like a whole
No one's gonna
wing
buy it.
with sticker.
What?
It's like the whole wing and just one single sticker.
Yeah. It's yeah,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, yeah.
Oh.
All right, and then we have
So-
the pavilion. This is interesting. So we have they have an expo in Osaka, Expo 2025. New immersive videos and
Osaka.
demonstrations, and for the metaverse, they're saying that they are featuring works from GBWC. Would you know, Simon, if the GBWC winners? Would you know if your entry is in there?
Did you guys check out the first time they released that?
What, the metaverse?
The metaverse. I actually got a link. I was invited to get in there. So apparently, what happened is they actually scanned my my winning entry for 2023
Oh,
3D,
Oh, dang.
and it was actually posted in the metaverse. It was really cool.
nice.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
So exactly, you see that view right now. That's actually how. If you're in there, you can actually look at my build there.
hmm.
I'm pretty sure they have done the same for this year's winner. So if you had a chance to
Yeah.
get the link, then make sure to take a look. It's really cool when you see your stuff that you can actually spin it around and turn it around. You see it in 3D. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember this is the entry from Japan under 20, right? This year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that is
Yeah.
the under 20. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Xavier in the room.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see your work there. But yeah, that's it for this week's news, I guess. Yeah, I guess we'll move on to our main topic of the show, which is, of course, none other than the interview with Mr. Simon Lam.
Hi guys.
All right. Okay, Simon, can I call you Simon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Simon. First, introduce yourself and where can people find you?
Okay. Actually, I don't know where people can find me. Well, first of all, I'm Simon Lam. I do a lot of Gunpla. I do a lot of fantasy figures, miniatures, painting. I am on social media on both Facebook, IG, and X. I think on Facebook you can actually just look at my name under Simon Lam. I think I do have two accounts because one of them is folder because that's a personal account. They only allow 5,000 followers, right? So I open up. If you look up Simon Lam or Simon Lam display case, you'll probably find me there. And then when it comes to Instagram and X, I go by my video game call sign, which is Jesse and Monkey, and just look it up and you'll find me.
Yeah. All right. So here is your Facebook page, Simon Display Case. So the Simon Display Case.
Yep.
Simon's Display
It's
Case.
the newer one.
Yeah. So it features more of your work rather than the personal one.
That's right.
Mm.
That's right.
Cool. All right. And here's Jesse Monkey. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were a gamer. So we had gaming news like a while ago. Have you ever tried playing a Gundam game?
I did most of the Breaker games
Oh.
and anything back in the PlayStation genre, anything that G Sentry, all of the Gundam games, all the way back to Famicom. And right now I'm also playing the UC Engage. Not much, but I still have an account with it.
Yeah. UC Engage is pretty grindy,
Yeah.
but entertaining.
Yeah, it's another catch-up game. But hey, it's Gundam regardless, so
All right. So thank you, Simon, for telling us about where to find you. But we would like to know more about you. Something that your fans probably wouldn't know about you. So can you tell us what your experience was like? Like, how were you introduced to Gundam, and how was it? How did it enter your life?
oh, how did it enter my life? Do you have 2 weeks? It's gonna be a long story. All right, so I'm born in the 70s, so I grew up in the 80s. So practically, I'm of the generation that actually grew up with Gunpla. If you talk to any Asian kid back in my generation, there's only three things in life. Either you build model kits, or you watch animation, mega animation, and you play video games, and I do all three of them. So I technically grew up with the entire culture. I started building model kit when I think I was like 8 to 10 years old. That's when I can actually afford to buy a model kit in that time. Back in the day, it's very different. Like it started as a toyish thing, but then you realize building a model is really not a toy anymore because if you buy a Chogokin, if you buy a toy that it comes as is built already, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a model kit in my generation, there's a 50% chance that you may not be able to put it together. Let's put it that way. Either you screwed up or you ran out of glue because they come with that tiny little tube of those silver tube, the glue that everything has to be glued together. So if you run out, then you're stuck. So it was pretty risky in my generation. My model kit, yeah, that being able to put it together is actually it's mission accomplished. Yeah. So that's the genre that I grew up with. I moved to Canada when I was 17, I guess, and I actually stopped building at that point. Because one of the problems is before I moved to Canada, I started getting more serious into building my models. So when I'm in Canada, one of the biggest problem is when I got there in '90s, and there was no dedicated store for Gunpla. So to be able to try to find paint and tools to build a model kit properly is almost impossible. The only option I had back then was like you have to buy stuff online from Japan and wait 4 months before they can ship it over. Yeah, which is one of your sponsor, Hobby Link, is where that was like the only option for us back in the days. Things have changed nowadays, so it's a lot easier. There's shops everywhere. But I stopped building because of that until like 20 some odd years later. Like I think it was in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to Japan first of all, and I saw all these kits in the shop, and like, you know what? I missed this hobby. I want to reboot it. I want to do it again. So I bought all my tools from Japan on that trip, and once I come back, I start building, and then never stop until now. So
Can you still remember the first your first model kit that you built?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because that was I thought I got robbed. Because I bought back before there was any XG or MG, it was a Zagu 1, the original Zagu.
Oh.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think I remember I saved up like 2 weeks of lunch money just to be able to buy it. Now the problem is when I picked it up from the corner store, it looks like a Zagu, and I thought, oh yes, this is Zagu, I have to get it, and brought it home, and then look again. Hey, wait a second, it doesn't look the same as the Zagu in the cartoon. So if you have watched the first year, the 1 year old, the original Gundam, it was Zagu 2 that first shows up
Mhm.
in the
Right.
animation. And then I bought a Zagu 1 and I was looking like, hold on, something is wrong. Where's the antenna? Where's the spike on the shoulder? Like I thought
Right.
I bought a fake product. I didn't know it's actually Zagu 1's actually a thing. Yeah, so I still remember that kid very well.
Is it 144 scale?
Oh, gee, you
Or
got it. I don't remember the scale because there wasn't that. I don't think they even have scale back in the days. But I think I think it's a 144 size.
mm,
Yeah, that is the kid. I
oh.
think they came out in the 80s, I believe. Yeah.
Wow. It's cool that you can still remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, so aside from Gunpla, when people like scroll through your page, it's noticeable that you were not only exposed to Gunpla but also to a variety of model kits and figures, from
Right.
military kits to Warhammer. So how did those genre influences your current style in building Gunpla?
Hmm. That's okay. That's gonna be a long story too.
Oh.
Well, all right. So when I was in my teens building model kits, sci-fi is only one portion of it because uh, like I built Gundam model kits because I liked the mega in the animation.
Mhm.
So I built it for that like if I like a dome like Goof, I like them because they're the characters in animation. That's when I was exposed to building model. But once I start building model, and I find out, oh wait, there's also tanks, there's also automobiles and planes and jets, battleships, all this other type of model, and it basically opened the door for me to start to adventure in this big gigantic modeling world. And so I got sidetracked it. So I moved on and I started with Gundam, and then my focus after that was mostly into tank and battleship actually.
Mm.
And when you do that, you pick up skills and technique. Because well, back in the days, there was no social media. So the only way for me to learn how to build models is to basically stand in front of the display case of the modeling shop and look at other people's build and try to wonder how the heck did they do that? And then try to recreate those styled weathering stuff myself. And and for the longest time, that those tricks that you learned back in the days, that you keep to say you don't tell people. Like this is my own trick, so that only I can do that. Um, but eventually, I was like, okay, so military models are cool, automobiles are cool. I've learned a lot of different skill set based on by doing those builds. And then I think there's a trigger point that Gunpla becomes more than just a toy for me.
Mhm.
I think I was looking into some Japanese magazines. That's when I find out in Japan, they don't just build Gundam as it is as a manga. They actually create. That's the beginning when they start to do dioramas. They start to imply techniques they use in military modeling into a sci-fi model. I think that's like a trigger point for me. Like, oh wait, I can do that too,
Mm.
and that like spiked my interest. And ever since then, I switched my focus back into sci-fi model kit more. And you can see my work. I do apply a lot of the skill set that's on other type of model into my sci-fi build,
Mhm.
because it's a very different mentality. Because if you look into military model, a lot of times the way that we build military models is that you want it to be as realistic as possible. So you do a lot of research. And you want realism. So you want to create something that's exactly identical to whether a picture, a reference, a picture, or something that happened a day, an incident that happened in real life. So you're kind of restricted to how you apply your technique because you're still trying to mimic something that's real. But then if you use those skills on a sci-fi model kit, no one's gonna tell you whether something makes sense or not. Then it's a wild, wild west. You can do whatever you want. And I found that a lot more interesting than doing traditional military model. Even though, yes, there's creative aspect for military model as well. When you create a storyline, when you create a diorama, you do have to apply a lot of creativity. But then sci-fi, if you do those skills on sci-fi, it's completely up to you. So I love that freedom, and that's one of the reasons why I do more sci-fi model kits than military stuff. So.
So when you say like sci-fi, that includes like Warhammer, right? Right. So
I wasn't exposed to Warhammer until very late, like
Hmm.
only the last couple of years. Yeah, because it wasn't really a thing in Asia back in the days.
Oh.
So sci-fi for me would be mostly Star Trek, Star Wars, and Gundam.
Was there a specific like kit that made you think, like, yes, this is what I want to focus on? Like that made you
Hmm,
realize that I really love this hobby.
right. Well, I've always loved this hobby. But if they say is there a specific kid, I would say when they first came out with the first perfect grade RX-78 and the Zagu,
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
that was like a trigger point that, hey, this kit is so cool that I want to buy it. I want to put everything I know, everything I have into building this kit and make it awesome. And I think that was the time. That was the time when I was about to move to Canada when I bought those two kits. But unfortunately, once I got to Canada, I realized I'm not able to actually get it done because I just don't have the tools. So those things have been just sitting in my collection for like 25, 30 years before I went back to actually build them up.
Uh,
Yeah, but that was the kid that
the-
I think that, hey, I want to do a really serious build when it comes to Gunpla.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, the perfect grades, man. They're so good. I always wanted to. Someday I'll have one. That's the name of our studio too. Okay.
Together.
Shout out to us, man. All right. So
Yeah, that's a perfect grade.
you mentioned that before. You don't really have social media like to reference your builds. So you stand. You just observe like the display cases on shops and all that. But is there any are there any specific role models or builders? It can be inside or outside Gunpla that influence your
Mhm.
work.
When I was in my teens, I liked those kits because of the outcome, the finished product. So I was looking at the builds and I was amazed and blown away by the kits itself. I wasn't really paying attention of who's behind the build
Mm.
at the time. Only after like the last couple of years when I come back when I reboot this hobby, I actually went backward and tried to find out like who are the people who's responsible for those kits back in the days, and a couple names that really popped out. One of them would be Max Watanabe, and the other one would be Kawaguchi. So those two are in the generation that actually started to use the military style of weathering and building technique and use them into gunpla. So they really created a culture back in the days, and that's why those two are like my idol in a sense. That I would really hope that I can actually meet them in real person, which actually did happen. So I did. I was able to meet Kawaguchi in the because of GBWC, but I
Ooh.
still have to see Max Watanabe actually. And there's also one other person that I find out pretty recently that I really adore his work. And he doesn't do gunpla. His name is Adam Savage.
Oh,
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
if you guys pay attention to Star Wars.
yeah.
Adam
So
Savage.
he is mostly affiliated, responsible for a lot of the model kits, a lot of the movie pops that was used in Star Wars back in the days.
Uh huh.
The reason why I like his work so much is he was from a generation where if he has an idea, if he has an outcome that he want, you don't necessarily have a model kit available for you to actually build on. So he's in the generation that he actually have to find a ways to create what he want out of nothing. So the original generation of kit basher or scratch building.
Scratch building.
Adam,
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Adam Savage from Mythbusters.
Yep,
Oh,
yep, that's him.
oh, that's cool.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw there's a video of him like building the PG Unleashed.
Oh yeah,
It
he
was
actually
having so
liked
much
Gunpla.
fun. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I should look into his work. I didn't know that he actually builds
Yeah,
model
same.
kits. Yeah, I only know him from
Yeah.
Did not
Mythbusters.
expect that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's has a lot of involvement back in the days when Star Wars first came out. So look him
Oh,
up.
that's cool. That's cool.
Definitely, man. We need more inspiration.
Yeah.
How was
Sure.
meeting Kawaguchi though? What was the feel?
I don't know. It's like starstruck, you know. See someone that you always want to meet, and
Meeting
he's
your
standing
hero.
right in
Yeah.
front of you. Yeah, it was cool.
Speaking of, there you have a post in your Instagram where the figure that you painted. I don't know if you sculpted it. The Amuro Ray figure. It was being held by Toru
Oh,
Furuya.
okay.
Yeah. Was it
Right,
painted
right.
from a base model? And what's the story behind that? I saw that you were having a video call with him.
Right, right. Okay, so my friend, he's an interpreter. So he's fluent in
Oh.
Japanese. So he is responsible to be the how should I say it, the handling person when it comes to a lot of anime con, comic con in North Americas. When they invite a lot of the Japanese voice actor over to attend those shows. So he's the one who basically how should I say it? Well, he's the interpreter for them in general and takes them around. And he told me one day, say, "Hey, I'm going to Vegas next in a couple of months, and I'm going to be meeting the voice actor for Amino Ray, Fukuya-san. And would you want me to say something to him? Because I know you're old school, you're in that same generation. Do you want me to get your signature or something?" And I go, now that you mention it, it's just getting a signature is not good enough. Let's do something more. Let's build. Let me build something. Let me paint something and send it to him as a gift.
Oh.
And so I end up picking. It's actually a model kit. Bandai released. I think it was the 20th anniversary for the Gundam universe, and they create a box set of all the main characters in the original 1 Year War, and one of them was the Amuro Ray. Now, given that that character kit was from like 40 years ago, it was like the quality
Oh.
is just not there. Yeah. So there was a lot of like resculpting, a lot of improvement has to be done, but it is an original kit from Bandai back in 40 years ago. So the reason why I picked this is one of the reasons is because like I mean he's Amalo Ray.
Mm.
So I'm
Hell
sure he
yeah.
has a lot of gift from his fans, his friends, and
Right.
RX-78 nonstop. And I go, wait, but then he's actually a voice actor for Amla. So does it really make sense for me to build an RX-78 and give it to him? Would it be more meaningful if I actually do Amla himself? And that's
Yeah.
how we end up there, basically. And I was lucky enough, he really liked it and he said like, hey, you know what? Like I have tons of RX-78 in my backlog already, and you're like one of the few that actually know I am Amilo Ray, not RX-78. I was like, yes, I think that I nailed it. Yeah, it was fun, and we actually had a little Zoom check for like a couple minutes, and it was amazing.
That's so cool. That's so cool. What did you talk
Mhm.
about? You mind us asking?
No, I'd rather not say it. I
Oh,
can tell you
okay.
I have to kill you. So.
Small talk.
That's cool. That's cool. That's awesome. But yeah, you before we started the interview, you mentioned that you're a gamer. I,
Yep.
yeah, and you mentioned before that you've played all the Gundam Breaker games. Like before we go to the GBWC topic here, I just want to ask like, what's your favorite like Gundam game and anime?
Or mecha game in general.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Well, we all know Bandai really sucks in making Gundam games.
Yeah.
as,
Yeah.
as much as we love the franchise, the games are usually not the greatest. So
Right.
if I have to pick one, probably Gundam Breaker 3 is probably the best out of the bunch.
Same, man.
Oh no,
Breaker
wait,
3 is
wait!
gold.
But don't forget, old school. There's a lot of good Gundam game. Like G Generation was awesome. All the SD game was awesome,
Oh,
and
the
there was
SDs.
also RPG made out of Gundam back in like Famicom, Super Famicom generation. Those are wicked. Those are superb. But
I'll look into it.
nowadays, not that much. Yeah, because I know all my friends left the VS game, the VS Extreme. But then, like I'm getting too old. I don't have the reflex. I get slaughtered in those games, so I don't get any enjoyment out of it. So
Yeah. Have you tried Gundam Battles Operation 2? It's kind of
I did. My son
you
ended up
did.
playing it, not me.
Your son.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of competitive, somewhat.
yeah. But don't you found that most of the Gundam game the action is very sluggish,
Yeah.
right? Right. If you
But
compare it to Virtual On back in the days, and then you go back into a Gundam game, like it's a different experience, I guess.
right, right. I feel like Gundam games are more really for the fans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Armored
that's why I like
Core,
Gundam Breaker. Gundam Breaker kind of breached that between the Sangold game and like put it into a faster pace in general, and that makes it a lot better.
have you played Armored Core? Sorry.
The early one, yes, not the recent one. Like
Right.
as I get older, I found out. Well, actually, ever since I have a kid, I found out that I have to make choices. I have to make sacrifices. Either I have time to play my video games, or I have to have time to build my model, but not both. So yeah, unfortunately, I
Yeah.
have to make choices. Yeah.
If you would give like a percentage of how much you would put most of your focus to, like 50-50,
Um,
60-40.
Video games, it's usually either one or the other. Like when I was in university, it was just nothing but video game. Like
Ah,
I would play online game nonstop because that was the beginning of all this MMORPG.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and that's how we find out that this type of game is so addictive that you're basically glued in front of the computer 24/7. And that's actually how I developed my skill of sleeping only 4 hours a day because I'm always online killing stuff. Yeah.
the good old
So
times.
yep. So
I apologize for the technical difficulties. Yeah, Miguel just just was disconnected, and the framing right now is a bit confusing, to say the least. All right.
oh right.
Yeah,
So I
sorry about
am
this.
Jackson.
Okay.
I'm
So
Miguel now.
we will be discussing now the. Of course, we have to talk about your experiences in GBWC. GP, do you have the
Right.
questions ready?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let's do
So
this.
GP has prepared a few questions regarding the GBWC. Let's go.
Okay, hit me.
Okay, so first question regarding GBWC. What made you decide to enter your first Gunpla competition?
My first gunpla competition was actually GBWC 2017. Because I just rebooted this hobby in 2016 after my trip to Japan. So I was blown away of how things have changed back then. And I was shopping for my birthday gift in the gunpla shop that day, and then the owner told me, "Hey, I've seen it around. There's now the people who like building gunpla seriously, because I was also looking into tools and paint and all that other stuff, right?" And they go like, "Have you heard about GBWC?" I go, "Yeah, I know about them. Never entered them because before GBWC is actually a different competition. It's called is it Baku competition? So there's another competition before GBWC, but that was only in Asia only. So I thought this is only an Asia gig, and we're in Canada, so I don't think that applied to us." And they go, "No, no, 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 no. There's a GWC now, and this year is actually the first year that we finally have a Canada region instead of just North America altogether. And you should enter."
Mm-hmm.
And I go, "Well, okay. So what's the deadline for this?" And they go, "Well, that's October, and my birthday was August." It's like, okay, well, so you're telling me I have 2 months to come up with a world competition entry? Is that
Damn.
even possible? And the guy go, "Well, you
Challenge
know what?
accepted.
Yeah, this is the first year, so I guess everybody would be on a rush, just throwing whatever you got, and I was lucky enough that I actually won that one, and that was actually my first competition in Gunpla, and that was complete fluke.
No, it's not.
Man, that's crazy. Winning your first competition. Ren's
Two
like, no, it's
months.
not.
It's not a fluke.
It's not a fluke.
It is, it is, it is. I mean, we all tried to do our best with the only the 2 months that we got, and I was lucky enough that it was good enough to actually get there. But then when you're there, you see what the other country have, then you know, okay, like I'm in the wrong place. Like I should be competing with the U14 category.
Simon Lam has imposter syndrome? No way.
No,
Wait.
the quality, the difference is huge.
Mm.
Like, but then at the same time, that's because the other country, this is not their first time, so they do have enough time to get things done, and that makes me wonder, like, oh, if I have enough time, what could I come up with, right? So it never stops since then. So I just keep competing, keep entering every year.
Which
It's crazy.
what was your model in your first competition in GBWC?
The first one was the high mobility Zaku from the Johnny Raiden. Yeah, that's the one.
That was your
Yeah,
first. That's your first.
competition build, yes.
What?
As you can see, there isn't a whole lot that can be done within the given time. So,
Really?
so it's mostly just a detail up project. There
Yeah.
is not a whole lot of modification except the GPO2 cannon at the back.
Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. It looks
Yeah,
amazing though.
yeah.
It looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, appreciate that, Simon. Moving on. You've won gold in Canada multiple times before finally taking the world champion title in 2023. What was different this year that you think pushed your entry to the top?
Hmm. I think that because the fact that I've entered multiple times, I kind of
Mhm.
like you kind of get a feel for what would do well in a competition setting, especially GBWC. Now, for competition, usually there's two different approach. A is that you try to find out what's trendy, what people enjoy seeing, and then you try to achieve that, right? So that's a safe bet. Like this, I create something that everybody would like to see, and that will guarantee that would place a certain level in the competition. Uh, but nowadays, because there's so many twos, people are so good at doing this, you're basically doing something that's extremely similar to what everybody else is doing, right? So in order to stand out, the different type of approach is like I don't really care what the mainstream do right now. I just do my thing, and whether you like it
Yeah,
or not, that's not my problem. But that's great to have that mentality because usually that's how you create something that's unique and unusual and really stands up in the cloud. But because the GBWC is very restricted, they have a very tight framework that you have to build within that framework. So you really, even though you say, I'm just doing my thing, I don't care what other people think, you're still bound, restricted by all the rules and requirements. So it limits on the things that you can really do. Some people would see that as a negative thing, as a disadvantage. It's kind of like it handicap what you can actually get done. But if you're from my generation, we usually see restriction as that's just a reason why you have to push your creativity even more. And using gaming as a reference, remember what are the most fun game that you remember is usually the one that back in the days like the 8-bit, 16-bit machines where there's a lot of restriction on what kind of graphic they can do, what kind of sound
right.
effect they can do. So they're forced to make the game itself fun.
Mm.
That pushes your creativity. So
Yeah.
so I see those restrictions
Yeah,
as actually a plus, yeah, something to push you to
man.
try harder.
Man, these interviews are insane. Like every AO Mecca, Ryan Lau, and now Simon is giving solid, very inspiring stories. Because using like avoiding what the mass likes and just doing your own thing because you like this. That's really brave, man. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on. Can you walk us through your mindset during your first GBWC compared to 2023?
Hmm. Well, I've entered multiple times. So obviously the first time I only had 2 months, so I didn't do too well, basically, as in I came in last out of the all 17 countries that enter. Because that was the time that they actually disclose all the scores in the competition. So you actually know where you place. That's kind of expected because I actually knew. The funny thing is, usually the day of setup, when you're there, the day of the competition,
Yeah.
uh, well, that's my first time test. I wouldn't know better. They tell us you will have 2 hours to set up your project. And I got baffled by that idea. What do you mean I have 2 hours to set up my build? Like, okay, so I open the display case, take my thing out, put it into the display case, close the door, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? I need like 30 seconds, not 2 hours. And then I start to look around. I think the guy next to me was a Philippine, and then there's Hong Kong there. The guy from Hong Kong, Ken, great guy, he came in with 2 suitcases and started to
Oof.
open it up and start to take everything out. I was like, what is he doing? Like, how come their kit is they're gigantic? Mine is a normal MG regular size build.
Yeah.
And there's a restriction that your kit cannot be over 50 by 50 by 50 centimeters. And those other country use it up completely. Those builds are humongous. So the wow factor you cannot even compare. It's like mine is it's a lightweight boxer versus a Mike Tyson or something. So at that point, I knew there's no way I'll do well in the competition. But that was a learning experience for me. And I go, okay, so for in order to do good in this competition, the wow factor is important. Size sometimes is important because the way they judge it is in person. They put it in a display case. So the bigger your build is, the more intimidating it is, the more wow factor it gives, like the presence. Instead of looking at something very tiny, and those are the stuff that I take it home with me, and I start to work on my next build after that, and then the whole thing changes because of COVID. Because what happened is when it comes to COVID, there's no more in-person competition.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at my entry in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
that was the Jigok. That was just an HG. It was 144 because
It is.
the
It
only
looks
thing you're
huge.
submitting. Yeah, yeah. So I went the opposite direction because it's an online competition and you're sending pictures, right?
Oh my
So the
god.
size doesn't matter as long as you can frame your picture nicely to make it look
Yeah.
gigantic. In reality, it's actually very tiny. So
Oh,
so
That,
you
Damn.
you
that's
That's
your
really good.
focus
the wow
change.
factor here.
Yeah. So you're really changing your approach depending on the parameters of the competition.
Jesus Christ.
so it's
My brother here is really really into Xeon suits. So seeing your work, I mean, look at that iron nail. It looks
Yeah, that's what I. That's the first thing I saw. Oh, sorry.
it looks like real teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
T. It looks organic.
Yeah,
The quality of
it looks
the
organic.
and those are the things that if you have like a military tank background helps you weather to make things look more realistic because the scale is
Yeah,
very different. So even though that you know how to do tank doesn't mean you know how to do gunplay. Tanks are like 4 meters tall, while the Gundam is 20 meters tall. So even though the technique is the same, you always have to be cautious on what scale am I applying something to, right? So a lot of times you'll see like perfect examples. A lot of people when they start doing weathering, they go all out when it comes to paint chipping and there's paint chip everywhere in the entire kit. And if you think of a robot that's like 20, 30 meters tall, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, why is there a paint chip there when the the head is 20 meters up in the air? It's not going to bump into anything. So those are the little consideration that you put in when you plan your build, when you plan your painting process, and to make it feel realistic. That even though it's not real, but
yeah,
you will have that impression that hey, it's probable. If this is real, this is how it would look, right? because human brain is it's interesting. Even though sometimes you look at something that looks cool, but it's not realistic because that doesn't it contradict how real life stuff happens. Even though you may not really realize it, but internally, subconsciously, something doesn't feel right. And when it comes to competition, the judges typically only have like 15, 10, 20 minutes to judge your kid.
To judge, yeah,
And yeah, that instant, that feeling will sometimes is like, okay, I've seen enough of this. I'll walk away and I'll look at something else, right?
it's a huge
Uh,
factor too.
yeah, it is a factor.
Man, these are great tips. Holy shit. Damn. Crazy.
I must say I really love the small figurine that's right there.
Oh yeah.
That's
The
also
swimming
that's right.
dude.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
really
That's
adds
Simon.
to the
He's swimming.
yeah.
Right.
Glove, glove, glove.
That really adds to the size factor
Yeah.
into the model. So I found
Exactly.
that
So
really cool.
yeah, that's how you frame something. Like, if you want to give that sense of size, you have to have a reference point,
It
and
has
doing
to
little
be like
stuff
from the
like that helps.
perspective of
I also
a
like
smaller
that.
being.
I remember seeing the back of this. You also added details at the back of that as well, uh, where there's like a guy fixing a pipe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
leak at the back. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little guy at the back.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Those
Man,
those are
you
the little Easter eggs I like to throw into all my projects.
damn. Okay, next is what's the biggest lesson you've learned from competing on the world stage like multiple times?
I think I mentioned that before. It's if you
Oh
really
yeah,
want to like all in, and I think your kid should stand out. So you shouldn't be doing what everybody is doing. So when you plan for a competition project, you would want to ask yourself, my idea, is it unique enough that will stand out from the rest of the competition? There's no guarantee that yours will stand out, but then am I trying hard enough to make sure I have a higher chance to stand out from the rest, right? Because luck is a huge factor too. Doesn't matter how good your kid is, you might run into like a genius that just popped out of nowhere and that you just can't compete, right? So, but ultimately, you're trying everything you can to maximize your potential to score well in the competition.
okay. Well, okay. I think the last question. I think you've already mentioned this too, but maybe you could provide something else. Like, how do you personally define a winning build?
Personally, I would like to prefer to see something I've never seen before, never been
Right,
done
right.
before. Uh, Perfect example, Ryan's build for this year.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you look at all the entries, his really stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he doesn't have any crazy modification, any crazy kit patch. The kit itself is very stick to the original design. It's very detailed up. There's a lot of proportion change, and it makes a huge contrast to the humongous, monstrous, super detailed, super kit patch built from the rest of the cloud. So he took an idea and he cashed it in all the way. So that's something that you need to do well in the competition, if you ask me. Um, yeah, because ultimately, if you're talking about world competition, the top 5 to 10% of builders probably are just as good when it comes to skill and technique. There's nothing that they can do that the other person cannot do. So it all comes down to who has a better concept, who has a better idea, and those are
Right.
the things that really score at the end.
Okay. All right. Man, these are insane tips. Okay, well, I guess we can move on with the questions. Who's next?
Right. I just wanna. This is what I was talking about. This is so cool. Someone's
Oh, there's a
fixing it.
little guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Fixing the leak?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. All
Yeah.
right. So,
It's-
I guess next is we want to take a peek into your creative process and techniques. So, uh, do you have a signature style or technique that you always incorporate into your builds?
hmm. I wouldn't call it a signature style because the way it works for me is I would I would typically want to create an end result in my head first, and whatever that's applicable, whatever style, whatever technique that is necessary to make that image happen is what I'm gonna go with. So I'll do clean build, I'll do animation style, I'll do hand painting, I'll do fully weathered diorama, whatever it takes to create the end product that I have originally is what I was usually how I approach my project. Um, if you have to say a style, I would say I'm jack of all trades, master of none. That would be my style. So I try to like I don't need to be really, really good on one particular thing. I want to be generally good in a lot of things so that it gives me a lot more option when it comes to creating my ideas. Because a lot of builders, especially when they first started, they don't have a lot of skill set under the belt. So they could have the best idea ever, but they just don't have the skill set to make it happen. So I want to make sure that my skills is as wide as possible, so that whatever ideas that I can come up with, I can actually pull it off. So that would be my approach. And if you just look at the end result, I guess there is a certain builder that do things that are quite similar to what I usually do. One thing is a homie for you guys, Don Cerullo. So his approach is quite similar to mine. And the other one I can think of would probably be Win from Thailand, Paint Pusher. I don't know if you guys know that he was the only person who has collected all the trophies available in GBWC.
Wow.
He's like a legend, basically. Yeah. So his approach is quite similar to mine as well. I am a lot more into the old school tell a story diorama and and some hand painting involved than the clean build that most people like nowadays. So that's my approach.
How do you plan it? Like, do you use digital tools to sketch or visualize your dioramas before committing?
Sometimes I do,
Mm.
but for the most part, I would because I myself I look at a lot of illustration art.
Mm-hmm.
So movie poster, and when I see a movie poster that actually struck me, I try to dissect like the composition. Why would they place something in such an angle or put something on the corner? Instead of putting in square, I put things on an angle that create that tension, that drama when I frame it in a photo.
Mm-hmm.
So when I approach any project, I would have that in my mindset already before I start building. Because when I was young, I pick up a kit, I start building. I don't think about how am I going to post it, how am I going to compose the final product. But when it comes to competition, I think those are the choices you have to make before you even start.
Right. So let's go to your 2023 like winning build. Right. So this did you sketch like the entire? Is this your
No,
sketch?
that's
Oh.
an illustration.
Oh. Okay.
That's actually an illustration from a novel.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
But.
So the whole concept come from that,
Mhm.
that illustration art.
Okay.
Uh, like Gundam has been around for 40 years now, so there really is not a whole lot that hasn't been done before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and when I came to that illustration, it really struck me as like, hold on, I don't think I've ever seen that being done from anyone.
oh, right.
And this would be a perfect subject for a competition build because it has never been done.
Mm.
They are very difficult. Like those type of the situation is very hard to find nowadays. So down the road, if I have to continue competing, and then I try to purposely look for those subjects where that's I don't think anyone has done to
Mm-hmm.
basically keep that the wow factor.
Mm.
So a concept that's never been done before. Right.
Yeah,
All right. So
I'm taking
which is
notes.
So
hard
do you
to find.
remember Ryan's tip? Like, you mentioned the two Gundams kissing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That is my concept art right now. I'm gonna make a
Yeah.
rom-com.
Hey, you never know. Maybe you'll pull it off.
Yeah.
Huh? Eh?
How would you do
Even
that?
Simon did.
All right. I got 2 approvals. I think I'm going for gold, boys.
You got our future winner here. All right. So you've mentioned earlier, and actually, when we were researching you, you also mentioned this in one from one of your podcast guestings before. Like you always want to include Easter eggs in every build. Is there a particular
Yep.
Easter egg in your 2023 entry?
Okay, the Toro 800. Well, I wouldn't say Easter egg, but there are things that, okay, so the problem, okay, the way I create that whole project is I'm assuming that this is something that's going to be judged uh, in a 360-degree aspect. So then I have to have things for people to see from the front, from the back, from all kind of angles, and I try to put some focal point in all different locations. So if the judge walk around, and they'll pick up, oh, hey, that's something interesting at the back right there. It's the same idea as the little guy that's dealing with the leak on the
Mm-hmm.
Jigok build, because the back there's nothing really there, so I have to put some interest point for people to basically draw people's attention to. For the 2023, one of the I would say Easter egg is that if you look into the cockpit, so because most people just look at the overall picture, but there was actually a lot of detail that was put into the cockpit. If you look at the screen inside the cockpit, you will actually see, because what I'm trying to say, the whole story is that Belanger is trying to say maneuver there, right? So, so if you actually look at the screen, I actually painted a little Audrey on the side. If you look at this, the right hand panel, so so that's actually what's happening outside the cockpit.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Oh,
so good.
that is so
oh my
Right.
God.
So good.
So those are the little stuff that you put in. So if the judge spent enough time looking at my build, they would pick up and there'll be a little wow moment. It's like, oh wait, look at that. That's cool. Right?
Yeah,
Um,
win.
That is cool.
yeah,
Golden buzzer. Golden buzzer when he sees that. Boom.
exactly. So
Damn.
these are tricks now to help you do well in the competition. At the same time, I don't
Right.
know if anyone would actually picked up if you really like this Toro 800 robot, the unicorn is actually not the first time it showed up in the Unicorn TV series. I think it actually showed up before in Double Seder, and it wasn't called Toro 800. It's called the Petty Workbolt or something. Judo,
Oh.
he was like a garbage collector in space. He was riding a work robot to collect those stuff. It's a red a work robot, and on that rack robot, the number on the robot is number 5. So if you look at my Toro 800, so that same robot eventually developed into Toro 800. So if you
Mm.
look at my Toro 800, you will see the number 5 as a lot of the markings
Oh.
on the machine to have a little reference point from that original when this first showed up from the Double Sater movie. Well, not TV, animation. So those are the things that, unless I tell you, most people might not realize that's where that came from.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right.
Great Easter egg.
When it comes to like building, what are some of your favorite materials or tools or techniques when customizing Gunpla?
I basically use everything. But I do have my own, I was just saying, it's my own theory when it comes to kit bashing. Um, a lot,
Okay.
I mean, the easy way out is that I would just kit bash a bunch of different kits into one. My approach is I will reuse a certain parts from another build, but I will try to use it for a different purpose. So I don't
Mm.
want to use an arm for an arm, a leg for a leg. I try to repurpose that part
Mm.
into something else. So that when I'm a viewer looking at my build and you will recognize that looks familiar, that's a Gunpla part, but where did that come from? So that becomes a little like mind game for viewers to look at my build. And that's also be a good thing for Bandai too, because it's a Bandai competition. So then if you can actually use part that people can recognize that this is something that built by multiple kids, that's also satisfied the business aspect of the competition, right? So
Mm. Alright, so what do you think is a Gunpla technique or approach that you think is underrated or underutilized in the community?
underutilized? I don't think there is anything that hasn't been done before, but I would say I think that the trend are kind of switching, moving more to in the old days that on top of just having a great build, because a lot of people can do great builds nowadays, come up with great designs and all that. People like to see there is some type of vignette, so something that's happening. There's a story behind it. What's going on? So that's I think that's getting traction nowadays. That's getting more and more popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a
So I think
story.
that's the story is important.
Mm.
And the way I do my project, that's basically the military model me coming out. I tend to do a lot of research.
Mm.
So if you look at all my Gunpla build, instead of just coming up with something that I like and I don't care what it is, it's just because I like it, I would try to create something that would probably exist in the Gundam universe. That actually kind of makes sense. And that started from my original Johnny Raiden build. I did a lot of research into the background story and is it possible if Johnny Raiden actually got a hold of the nuclear weapon from GPO2? And the answer was yes. So that's actually why I incorporate that into that build. Is it possible for Cha to be riding one of the Jigog to basically scout out Jabalu before they do the actual full-on attack? So for most of my project, I actually have set it in a certain background history within the Gundam universe, within the UC universe, that it makes it's possible to happen. So it's like an alternative universe kind of thing. So
Mm. So
that's something I don't see
mm-hmm.
a lot of people doing. So that that's kind of unique for me, I guess.
To storytelling, like deeply
Yeah.
researched storytelling. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's amazing. GV, you should also write that down. All right. So, if you could
Really.
collaborate with any artist or designer, even outside of Gunpla, who would it be?
Hmm. Any designer. I'm old school, so I like old school stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a designer that I really like, um, let me see if I can remember his English pronunciation. That would be Kazushima Kondo. So he is responsible for the alternate design of the really weird double shader. I don't know if you guys actually seen his work before.
Double
Well,
Zeta. Uh,
I actually have an illustration. I actually have a book here that's from his design. Let's see if you can I can show you this.
okay.
So, well, it's not. No, the blur is getting in the way. So let me take out the blur. How do I take out the change background? Not
This one.
there. You go. Yep,
Yeah.
this one.
Hondo.
Mm,
There you go.
Wow, yeah, I can have a copy of this. That's crazy.
yeah.
So this is the genre when they treat gunpowder as if they are military weapons.
mm.
I'm always a fan of that style of design, and especially this guy. If you look at a lot of his design, you will see that you won't find a lot of hard edges. A lot of them are very rounded, very organic style,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually this is the kind of style that developed into the Mark K thing. So the Machining Krieger
Oh,
style, yeah. So that's my personal that's just that kind of style that really impressed. I like the most.
All right, I think that's it for our creative process and techniques. Finally, Justin here is our Plamo apprentice. He's fairly new to the hobby, and he prepared some questions for you.
Sure.
Just some baby questions. Actually, not just me, but there's also JP's brother,
Yeah,
Ralph.
yeah,
We're both Plamo apprentices in a way.
yeah.
Um, but for me, I'm sort of more curious about the whole hobby in general. So my main question is, have you ever tried persuading other people to getting into the hobby?
Um, Persuading other people. Let's put it this way. I try my best to promote the hobby as much as I can. So I have been judging for a gazillion competition ever since this happened. And I usually attend Comic Cons, Anime Con, to do some panels. So basically talk about the thought process behind competitions or some techniques, painting technique, hand brushing and stuff like that. Um, Unfortunately, it is a hobby that, in my opinion, is kind of shrinking in size because there is people grew up in my generation. We all love building models, and but then we're also getting old. So there's a lot more people that fall out from this hobby versus people that just come in and join the hobby. And
Do you think?
and and one thing I really noticed is that the newer builder that just recently joined the hobby might not, well, I'm generalizing, okay, might not be willing to spend as much time as what we used to focus on making the kit the way they want it. Like they look for more instant gratitude, more immediate enjoyment. I guess that comes from the gaming in culture as well. Like if you ask someone to spend uh, 2 years on a bill, they'll say, "Are you okay? Are you crazy? Why would I spend 2 years to create one build when I can build 10 builds every week and I'm happy and I have so many more kids in my room?" So I found that that seems to be getting more and more apparent to me that I need to tell them, no, 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 no. If you're trading time with quality. If you are looking for quality, you have to be willing to put in the time and effort to get there. A lot of people say, well, I will never be able to reach your level. But I mean, from my perspective, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm not really expert in anything, but I'm just willing to invest my time and effort to learn all these things. I don't need to be the best. I just need to be good enough. And then my overall level, my overall skill set improve. And you need to be able to put in that kind of effort and time as well. It's achievable for anyone. So I'm not some genius builder that do something that nobody can do. I'm
Right.
just someone who really like this hobby that I'm willing to put in as much time to get to the quality, get to the level that I want. And anyone can achieve that. It's not just me. So I'm not unique in a sense. I say any builder, if you go through the same process that I did, if you put in the hours that I did, you will be at a level that I'm at right now. So that's always the message I'm trying to convey to people. And the ultimate question is, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to put in the effort?
Yeah, that's some.
Man, another great tip from Simon, man.
Hard work will never betray.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
some. That's some heavy. That's some heavy knowledge. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think I'm one of those new builders who, well, I mean, before actually learning about, you know, building and modeling as a whole, I always thought like it was mainly just building the kit and then being satisfied with it. But then, so far from my experience, I've learned like there's more to it. There are various avenues of interest. Like people love building for various reasons, like
Hmm.
photography, customizing, painting, and yeah, it's like an RPG for me, to me.
Yeah, and it's information overwhelming too, because nowadays when you just started this hobby, there is so much you can learn. There's so much you can do. A lot of time you get distracted before, because
Yeah,
when it comes to competition, we expect the basic to be nailed down first before you go try other stuff. But seems to me that building nowadays, they jump right into kit bashing, they jump right into scratch building, and when they don't understand that, what do I need to do a seam line properly? That when you judge for competition, you will see a lot of the entry has great idea, great finish, really cool painting job, but then somehow they don't care about the nut mark, they don't care about the sim line, and that makes you wonder. I thought, hey,
Mhm.
wait, in my generation, those are the first priority. You have to get those down first before you look into the other stuff. So you actually see the difference between what happened before and now. So I'm trying to bridge the gap. Basically, try to explain to them, yes, I know this seam line's annoying, no marks are ugly, but when it comes, if you want to improve and move up in this hobby, you have to have those basic down first. And 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 I try very hard to tell like any new builder, I tell them like don't be afraid. I'm open. I'm accessible on my WhatsApp and Messenger. Any questions, just ask me, and I'll be more than happy to answer them all.
I will do that.
Hey, no problem at all.
Yeah, when I heard about nub marks for the first time, I thought that was like a candy, but now it's something different. So I learned something new. Woohoo! I believe GP's brother has also specific questions coming from also someone from a creative background.
Okay.
Imoto-kun.
Uh, yeah. Um. So I just have just one question. Have you ever gone through any creative blocks before? And if yes, how do you usually handle them?
It happens all the time. Yeah, creative block. You just get stuck. Uh, I tell people that I would probably spend 50% of my time on a project just sitting down thinking of what I'm gonna do next. Even though I have the final picture is already in my head, but then how do I get there? And before I touch any tools or start doing anything, then I just sit down. I just basically think of how I can get there. A lot of so this is what makes me a little different. Uh, for most builders that I talk to, when it comes to competition, they look at their what's available to them. What kits do I have? What tools do I have? What do I do best and what I suck at? And try to do the project based on what they are good at and what they're that's great. That's a good approach. But my approach is I would look at the final product that I have envisioned in my head, and then I ask myself, how do I get there? Do I actually know how to do that? Like for example, if I have something that needs a lot of LEDs, a lot of lightning effects, I doesn't do LED. I have no clue how to do them. But because that is what I want, I'm willing to go do my research to actually learn it before until to a point that I can actually make it happen. So instead of limiting yourself with what you existing have, I try to learn new stuff to create the ultimate, the final product that I want. So that's my approach. So it's kind of like going backward instead of moving forward.
It's like you have the final result, like blueprinted down, and then you use it as a reference, like develop your
Exactly.
own curriculum for learning new
That's right.
skills, branching out.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. For my 2023 build, I've never sculpted a figure before. So, but then I asked myself, well, this is a storytelling project. I need the two main character to be well done to a pretty decent level. So what does it take for me to actually get it done? So I actually go and learn how to do sculpting, how to paint them up nicely, and before I even touch anything manga related. So because I need those two story main character to be available before I can even move on to that project. And that goes back to your question about creative block. So if I just ask myself, well, I never sculpted, I never do any sculpture before, therefore I can't do this. If that's my mentality back then I would not be able to finish this project complete altogether. So
Yeah.
GB has some deep thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm a bit curious about another thing. So far, uh, like with the other guests that I've listened to throughout through the podcast so far, um, I feel like what's different with you, Simon, is that you've grown up, as you said, you've grown up with the culture itself, Gundam. And if I'm right, you've exposed yourself to building model kits uh, particularly like militaristic ones where they glorify like making it as realistic and believable as possible, and you basically apply that to Gunpla also. So
Mhm.
do you think like that environment or background that you grew up in, like that culture that you exposed yourself in, like was that do you think that's what gave you the edge in being like this successful in the competitive scene? That kind of, I'm very curious about that.
I mean, it's different than what the norm is right now. I think that kind of set me apart with the other builder, and that's, like I said, it has a lot to do with luck. So if GBWC happened 20 years, 30 years ago, then I'll just be one of the every builder, what everybody does at that time. But because I'm doing it now when no one else is doing it, that set me apart, make me different than the rest. So it for the most part, it's luck, right? Obviously, you still have to be able to do it to a very high quality, high level, right? That's the part that you cannot control, right? If I'm saying if someone could do like a Naoki super nice clean build back in the 80s, I'm sure that person would become like a godlike figure because no one else doing something like that. Um, but that's something is not you have no control over. I look at it as I'm just doing what pleased me, right? So if it happens to match what the market wants right now, so be it, and I'm happy, and I'm appreciative of that fact that it actually I'm in the right place at the right time. You know what I'm saying? So
All
I
right.
think, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's it for our questions. Simon, thank you so much. But
well,
before we end the podcast, of course, we would like to ask you to stay for a bit because we
mhm,
are moving on to our next segment, which is the Gunpla Photos of.
cool.
Let's go.
Right, GP, take it away.
This is from the Plamo group. I can't tell if it's a 30-minute missions kit.
It's a 30-minute fantasy kit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the wings are 30
Fantasy.
minutes. Yep.
Yep, with custom wings. Yeah. So
And
this
those are
is by Andrew Medina.
Oh yeah, Andrew.
Yeah.
He's one of our mods.
Right.
Shout
Oh,
out,
that's really
Andrew.
cool.
Oh, cool, cool,
shout
cool.
out, Andrew.
Yeah. So for the viewers out there, if you would like to post your Plamo photography, which is non-Gunpla related, GP created new group called Plamo Photography. So make sure to check that out. All right. The next one.
He's going.
Is
God,
the
those wings are amazing.
yeah, it is. Next one is the Gunpla.
Michael
Yeah.
Moraleda
People's Choice.
Oh,
from the
that's
Gunpla group.
sexy.
Mm. Look at that. All right.
He's
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
It's the Verka, judging from. Oh no, is it? Judging from the face,
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
the faceplate. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, it is the Verka.
Mm. Yeah. So this is the Gunpla from the group Gunpla Photography by Michael Moraleda. All right. Next one. This is GP's pick of the week.
That's from the subreddits.
Yeah.
From Nomad Stratos.
Mm.
That's not his real name.
So GP, why this one?
Is this the RG?
Wait, that's a Kamen Rider style.
Posing or landing.
Cool.
Yeah. I like the lighting here.
It's
and
very dramatic.
yeah, it
yeah,
does
the
have that
lighting.
dramatic effect.
It's like I'm watching an opera or something.
Yeah.
It feels like there's like the light, there's like light just sparkling,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
kind of light showing down. That kind of
Yeah,
feel.
that's a new skill set that people have to learn nowadays, eh? Like just being able to
Photography.
build your model is not good enough. You have to be able to do photography as well.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
I remember.
Oh, is that?
I forgot who it was. I think it was Ariel who told us that photography is a big part of competitions now because they judge based on the photography, not just the build itself.
Yeah, because for us, we have to send everything to Japan, and they judge it based on the picture we sent them.
Hmm.
So if we
Mm.
send a shitty picture to them, doesn't matter how good your build is, it's gonna get wiped out.
Okay.
All right. Good job, Nomad Stratos. Again, we have a subreddit for Gunpla Photography and a Discord channel as well. All right, that's it
900 subs.
for that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much, Simon, for sharing your wisdom and your expertise. I hope you enjoyed the show. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we experienced. And yeah, I hope we can invite you back someday. And yeah, thank you so much. If you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Again, this is Perfect Great Podcast. Running only gets you one. Moving forward gets you two. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Perfect Grade Podcast.